And we are with the horoscope for Leo's ascendant, sun, moon, or stellium, which means a bunch of planets in Leo for February 2024. And this is no longer Venus date, it's Mars night, but Sol hour. And I thought this would be fitting to talk about Leos. The ascendant is ruled by Mercury, 26 degrees Capricorn, a planet conjunct Pluto, and already sextile and separating from sextile to Neptune. So yes, the midheaven is ruled by Mercury as well. Sol, the ruler of your ascendant, is in 13 degrees Capricorn. Okay, she's kind of separating from a square to Jupiter and applying slowly to a square to Uranus. The moon is in 10 degrees Scorpio, separating from an opposition to Jupiter. So, February for you. First of all, I'm going to talk about the ingresses and the aspects, and then I'm going to talk about the lunations. All the planets are direct. And what that means is that I liken it to a bottle of soda or champagne where you shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, and then you open the bottle. So you understand that all the foam comes out because all the retrogrades that we've been having have been removed, including Pluto, including Uranus, and even Mercury. And while this is a time, yes, everything is going direct, things are going smoothly. It's not just things are going smoothly. Things that have been stagnated for so long are now on the move. And so, while we have up until 2nd of April, where all the planets are direct, we say, yeah, this is auspicious time, yes, but this is also a fast speed time. It can be an overwhelming time. Yes, things are moving direct, but also anything you thought about, anything you planned, you might be acting, even with exalted Mars here in Capricorn, while it's Capricorn, you might be acting, all of us might be acting, regardless of our placements, with a lot of drive very quickly. Whatever we managed to think through, we thought through, and whatever we didn't manage to think through is very difficult to stop us in our actions. Okay? So you could say there was a building momentum. Yeah, depending on what it is that you are talking about. But definitely people are acting and you are a part of the people. So other than that, Pluto and Uranus are still in their shade period. So we are revisiting themes that we have been dealing with. Also Jupiter is in shade period, and even Saturn. Okay, we are revisiting themes that we have visited for probably a year or so. Okay, so talking about since the beginning of 2023, even the inverse of Pluto, and the times where Pluto and Uranus were going direct over the degrees that they are going now. So we are still revisiting things. Stuff from up to like a year ago can come up during this time, and even stuff that is a bit older. Even stuff that is a bit older than that. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. Okay? So cycles upon cycles upon cycles. And there is also a great desire to regenerate. Okay, with Pluto, especially upon the ingress, there is a regeneration. So that might mean that even up to 28 years ago, what we've been doing, well, on a more mundane level, up to 248 years ago, yes, but you might find that when it comes to your wealth or your whenever it is, or the relationships you've been, or anything, everything goes through regeneration. Okay, your skin, even, especially with Saturn, skin and nervous system. So you might find in yourself either letting go, releasing, or recycling something. Okay, but with a different revisit, so that you can have the processing and the letting go. This is especially good if you're doing stuff like like herbs or paintings or stuff like that, or recreation of certain artworks. But this time around, you get your kind of like final edit and release. So for you, Leo, first of all, you open this month with the sun already in your 7th house. And this is why I named this episode Detriment or Intimacy. Okay? For every ascendant, the ruler of the ascendant is basically in its detriment in the 7th house. And so, on the other hand, if we want to try and think, when will a person meet somebody, it can be either when the ruler of the 7th is in your 1st, or when the ruler of the 1st arrives to your 7th or transits to the ruler of the 7th house perfection year, or even 5th, because it begins in the 5th, maybe it will end up in the 7th. Okay, dating begins casual and then they turn more committed. And so when we want to talk about like when are you going to be relating, it means when the ruler of your ascendant is going to be doing something in your 7th or with the ruler of the 7th. However, when we talk about dignities of planets, what we have is a different point of view completely. Because in this point of view, what we're saying is basically the ruler of your ascendant is in detriment in the 7th house. And so this is the situation that you're going through right now with this transit. The planet that rules you is relating, but the structural position is a detriment. Okay, so that might be a little bit of an evergreen teaching for you on transits to do with the 1st and 7th. Other than that, you're going to be having the ingresses, so your 6th house is going to loosen up, and the ingresses are going to happen to your 7th house, one by one. And they begin with Mercury. Mercury ingresses to your 7th house February 5. Anything that ingresses now to your 7th house encounters Pluto at the gate, because Pluto is in 0 degree Aquarius. And this is also a month where we're going to have a lot of these conjunctions. Conjunction is a hard aspect. It's also a beginning of a cycle. So we're going to have Mercury, Mars, Venus conjuncting Pluto one by one. We're going to have the Sun conjuncting Saturn. We're going to have Mars and Venus conjuncting So plenty new beginnings, but also remarkable endings. Plenty endings. Many things are going to come to an end, and at the conjunction, something is ending and a new cycle is beginning. Because this happened in your 7th house, it means it puts the focus on your relationships big time. So let's start with Mercury. Mercury is ruling both your 11th and your 2nd house. So dreams and goals and income, expenses, values. The income from your own skill, okay? When it transits and meets conjuncts with Pluto, those are going to be transformed. Whether your dreams and goals themselves are going to be transformed, but it happens at the juncture of your significant other, partner, or even enemy. And so this Pluto can bring an end to a cycle. You're finishing up, if you have been launching something, if you've been given a certain type of lectures, if you have been public speaker or whatever it is, your topics, okay, are going to transform. What you've also, Mercury rules technology. So the way that you have been doing this, maybe you're going to do this on another platform. Okay, maybe you're going to do this using different technology. Something ends and another thing begins. And it might be inclusive of your partnership. It doesn't mean that the partnership ends here, it's not Saturn, but definitely your partner is going to be assisting you. It doesn't mean that you work together, they're going to be supportive of you, but also they are going to be holding a little bit of gate of transformation. And you can think about it when you have an idea for a course, you go to speak with your partner, hey, I have this idea, or your partner might give you an idea, and they tell you what they think, and this transforms. Okay? So this is the juncture, and whenever Mercury is going to go through your 7th house, those transformations will continue to happen. Pluto will be 20 years in your 7th house. And the next up is Mars, and this is February 13. But before that, Mercury will ingress to your 8th house on February 23. And now, whatever you need to, if you need to take a loan, if you need to apply for a grant, if you need to be supported, or if you need to loan money to another person or a partner, those things are going to catch up. It's also a time to go over like investment portfolio and the digital assets, if you have any crowdfunding assets. That can be a great time to do that. And the next up will be Mars. So Mars ingresses to your 7th house and meets Pluto February 13. Yes, Mars-Pluto conjunction is a hard aspect. Mars is ruling your 9th house and your 3rd house. How come? No, Mars is ruling in your 4th house. That makes more sense. Your 9th house and your 4th house. So you and your partner might be moving in together. You and your partner might be moving in together abroad, okay? And so Mars in the 7th is both passion and drive. It can be significant amount of arguments. So you want to be physically active if you can, with your partner. And at at the Pluto juncture, it is a hard aspect. On a personal level, like I said, it can be denoting that you and your partner are transforming your apartment. There is some sort of transformation of a belief. With the co-presence of Mercury, if you're working on something like a lecture or a thesis, then your partner might have a little bit of back and forth, and it's going to affect your worldviews. Or you're going to find out your worldviews are there. Yes, Mars can absolutely bring separations because Pluto is just ingressing to your seventh, and Mars can denote severing ties. It's not impossible that if the relationship is the kind of relationship that won't stand the test of time, then the conjunction can be the severing of the ties. Okay, if so, it can be due to either your upbringing or your agreements or disagreements about your housing or where you're going to live, or your separate worldviews. Okay. And Mars, of course, is also action, it's also drive. It's your behavior can be a topic. Both of your behaviors can be a topic. Okay, like, are we committing? Well, let's see, let's try to move in together. Oh, we don't like the way we behave. Do we want to work on this? Do we want to change that? It can also be if you have a topic of studies or philosophy, and you kind of, let's say you date someone, you ask, what is the place of religion or the lack of in your life? Or it's something that you do. Okay, for example, I'm learning about astrological magic. That was a red line for a person who had to literally separate over this. Not only over astrology, but actually when I began to try to work with magic, then I had to leave, because there was more than the chances and the risks that that other person was willing to live through, and it also began to collide with their religious beliefs. So if it is a separation, something like that can occur in your life. If it's something that you do religiously, that can be a point of separation. However, it can also mean that it is transformed. Okay, your partner transforms your beliefs. Okay, significant other transforms your beliefs. And they can be arguing about this with the conjunction. It's still a hard aspect. So there's a lot of intense stuff, but it can also be transformation of like your upbringing experiences. Saturn is in the 8th, so the ruler of this Pluto is in your 8th house. Debt, inheritance, the wealth of the generations can be kind of a topic of discussion. Okay, so this is where we kind of really want to be compassionate with ourselves and with your significant other. And the next up is Venus, February 16 already. Venus is going to ingress into your 7th house. So usually Venus in the 7th house, yeah, this is a time where we get to connect, where we have great time together, and so on and so forth. But Venus in your 7th house is meeting Pluto. Venus is ruling your 10th house and your 3rd house. Okay. What it can be for you. For example, the prices of gas and petrol have been rising. Okay. So Venus Pluto might mean you have to change the way you travel short distance. Okay, which car you use, the energy. Okay, Pluto is also the nuclear energy. It can also be oil, but in an air sign, it can be gas, okay? It's the drive, the energy that you kind of burn and alchemize to ignite or to sustain, whether it's heating or something like that. And so Venus conjuncting Pluto in your seventh, maybe you and your partner want to drive somewhere, or you plan to drive even to your own work, okay, or to your elders, because 10th house is one of the parents as well. And the prices are up, so you're rethinking the issue. Okay, something needs to change. Okay. It also means that the way that you relate is being transformed in some way, but it can be connected to communication, to your public image, to your career environment, and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that you won't enjoy Venus in your seventh. You probably will. But there are transformational experiences. Venus Pluto conjunction is a hard aspect. And Saturn in the eighth doesn't make it any easier. Okay, the ruler of this in the eighth. So definitely the way you think about wealth, your investments. Let's say you're invested in oil, okay, and you drive to your elders and with your partner, or you want the elders to meet the partner if it's like a new partner, and then I don't know, you see a demonstration, okay, and either you or your partner or later your elders say, yes, of course it's a demonstration, okay. There is an energy crisis, so you see everybody fighting with everybody, and it's, let's say, a political demonstration. And so somebody can literally kind of transform the discourse or the relation with your partner through this mundane experience of talking about, oh, we were going, oh, there was a big demonstration, so there were bumps in the road, we couldn't, it was very difficult to drive, and so on. That's why we got delayed, Saturn. And you meet the elders, and it's like, of course it is. You know, there's an oil crisis, energy crisis. You see all these people are demonstrating. Yes, there are genocides and so on. But what are they invested in? Are they invested in oil because, or in gas? Okay, what are they invested in? And that can be a topic of discussion. Pluto is more like gas than oil, but it could simply be a reality check to your investment portfolio and your intergenerational wealth. Okay. And it includes your partner, or your partner is present there, but it can literally come from the siblings, brother and sister, from neighbors, from somebody in the neighborhood, and from kind of like your career, you both, or one of your elders, or even you, but because of your profession. And remember, this Venus is ruling Uranus there in the 10th. So Uranus is still, it's still revolting, it's still switching up gears, it's still, you know, applying to sextile Neptune and trine Pluto, okay? It's already beginning to be in action, okay? So Pluto is going to give you the core issue. What is the core issue? Why is everybody rebelling, okay? Uranus is going to give you the chaos itself, and Neptune is going to give you the combination of worlds and realities, and so on and so forth. Now that we talked about these giants in your seventh, with all relating to your eighth, other than what are you invested in or debts that you may have, commonly is the blending of energies. Hereditary diseases can also be the issue. Okay, you know that Or you could be, for example, with Mars talking about the ancestries, bloodline. I'm from this bloodline, I'm from that bloodline, and you find out you have hereditary disease because your bloodline has not have been biodiverse enough. Okay, so it's like, oh, I'm royalty, bloodline, and so on and so forth. And then you look at the ailments, you see, yes, we're like, yeah, we see. You have so many ailments. Okay. This is a reality check about things. And remember, the soul is in detriment, so soul is royalty. Mars is blood. Mercury is information, exchange, conversation, yes. Venus is relation, and so on and so forth. So those things are at hand. Before all of that, Venus on the 7th of February, Venus is going to square the nodes, and she's doing it from your 6th house. Venus is ruling Ketu when she squares the nodes. So you're releasing something. It can be some physical ailment, some enemy, or a job, because 6th house is where we are in duty of service as well. A 6th house is also a pet, okay? I'm not saying like a pet will die, but you release in a certain cycle to do with that. So, 6th house again is your health, your physical health. Some old things you did, you're releasing, but at the same time, you get wisdom basically from your 3rd house. So a sibling could say something, or maybe something that you used to do. You're going to be remembering, or something, you might be releasing something of the near future, but remembering wisdom of the older future, the elders or the older generation. Mars is ruling Rahu. Mars is still in your 6th house, so anything like inflammation, small cuts or wounds, stuff like that, or accident proneness can be an issue. Things that are involving the insurance, unfortunately, those things can be. And then we are going to have the Mars, the Mars-Venus conjunction. I want to talk about the Mars-Venus conjunction before that. So, all along the way, I'm going to put it there. We are going to have a Sun ingressing to your 8th house on February 19 already. And before that, she will sextile Aries. This is a good point to have for you your worldview more included. Or there can be a little bit of an argument, but you can not be on the upper hand, but more like be more included back, because Aries is in your 9th house. And so for you, it means that you may have ideas or contend with ideas that are not accepted by the academic or religious institution or international community. And so with the Sun sextile Aries, you might be supportive to a teacher, a guru, or a person who is carrying such ideas, okay? And that may or may not be in conflict with your partner, okay? So that's important. And Mars is right now heading to square Aries. Mercury is releasing from that square, and that means for you it's a very active one. Okay, so Aries is discordia. Aries is about discord, and Mars in Saturn sign, okay, in your sixth house, there can be some sort of a conflict with your physical health and your worldview, or somebody's worldview. You could be arguing with your doctor about something that governs your beliefs, okay? We have Aries, in all of our charts. So the chaos that's, for example, being thrown at the world with, I don't know, pandemics or stuff like that, can be at odds with your desire to take care of your health. Okay. In a square, it's a Martian aspect. It means that both sides have merit to what they have to say. Okay? If Mars in its upright is about doing what's right, acting on what you believe is right, both parties here have something to say. So it can be between both a partner, if you're working with a partner, or a colleague at work, and somebody who is like a teacher, or it can simply mean that there is a conflict between beliefs and their application, because sixth house is your duties, is where it's your physical health, okay? And so in this case, both, for example, if you take the notion of the notion that to liberate yourself or to have autonomy, you need to assert your energy, you need to assert your aggression, and so on and so forth. You need to take it out of the body. If you have stagnation in your body, you take it out of the body, you need to assert yourself. In your sixth house, okay, Mars can be, yes, but if I take it out of the body, it's not only that I can hurt like my significant other deeply, because Saturn is in the 8th, but it can also be that I get into an accident and then I have to pay insurance, okay? So if I fight vehemently, I may have to pay insurance for that. Or if I take the aggression on the wrong person, and so on. So yes, we do need to take out the aggression to liberate ourselves, but also we need to take care of our own health. And with Venus is also health of like women or sisterhood, and so on and so forth, or colleagues, okay? But yes, we need to take the aggression out, but we want to make sure we don't assert ourselves in front of the other person unnecessarily in a way that is violent and so on. I think versions of these arguments are going to be, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, it's like, I'm going to do what I need to do, and Aries is like, it's Mars' sister, okay? But in Aries, it can be more impulsive, and so you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you trip over somebody's sense of self, this bump on the road will be felt. Okay, so so you definitely don't want to mess with people's identities unnecessarily. Although in this argument, both people have merit to what they have to say. Okay, so Aries hasn't been excluded. Okay, if you think about gender, which is another, what do you think about? Oh, well, we are beyond gender, we don't need gender, we don't this, we don't that. And then, I don't know, Aries can say, well, I'm not there yet. I am, or maybe I will never be there. Okay, I am, I don't know, gender non-conforming, and it matters a lot. Okay, kind of like the OK Cupid question. So this is the spirit of the Mars transit. You understand it with identities that are happening on a mundane level. There is a conflict, and Mars exalted is strong, but he's the ruler of Aries. He's exalted, but is in square to Aries. Now, the fact that you're exalted and you have a capacity doesn't mean that you should practice this capacity. Okay? On the other hand, if you have a capacity, and sometimes you have to exert this capacity, you choose not to act, then in some other context, this is like, okay, well, let's say you were a military person. Where were you for 6 hours, for 8 hours when people were slaughtered? Why did you not refuse illegal order? Why did you not come faster, and so on and so forth? Why did you not take care of this when the women, Venus, were telling that some invasion is going to be? So, okay, those issues are going to come up on a mundane level, but on a personal level, I told you, like, this is going to be different. And then we have Aries going through the same thing. So the good news is that while Mars and then Venus are squaring Aries, they are applying to they are sextiling basically Neptune. And so artistic expression or energy work, healing, can be of assistance to the issue. Okay, a little dreamy, aloof kind of approach can be helping, assisting, and remediating this thing, because the square, of course, is going to be intense. With Venus in Capricorn, Venus is very practical in Capricorn. For you, you might be just working, okay? Because third house is routines and schedules. Sixth house is your duties, usually when you're at service. And she rules your 10th house, which is your career. You just might be working, okay? But something collides. Some collision is coming from your philosophy, from your worldview. And Venus in Capricorn is incredibly practical. She's doing something incredibly practical right now. And then she meets this Aries in a square. Okay, so when I think about Venus and Aries in a square, I like to talk about the cisgender woman and the transgender woman. And let's say both of them have been through sexual assault by a cisgender man, and the cisgender woman is afraid of the transgender woman because she's not having the visibility that she can masquerade, her body. Okay, and so while both people are right, this is triggering each other. Okay, because you want to be seen as a woman when you are a woman, okay? But when that is colliding with somebody's CPTSD, then there is also something to consider as well. And so both people can be in collision. It's like the fact, like, yes, I know you are a woman, but I don't control the fact that I'm being triggered, and so on and so forth. And during COVID, I like to use this as the CPTSD person and the person who has an immune system failure. Okay, again, both people are right. And I think here is more about, it can do with an ailment as well. Okay, so somebody's asking somebody to mask, or maybe asking you to mask. or somebody is just somebody, or even your partner is asking, I don't know, your sibling to mask, if you're working together, and you go, no, okay, not doing this. I have panic attacks when I try to do that. Okay, I'm not even talking about just worldview, because in the sixth house is very practical. Okay, there's some physical element, or there's something that keeps you from adhering to preserving the autonomy or sense of self, or spiritual belief, or something like that. So those things collide. Okay. Or it can be, well, I want to keep my autonomy. There should be a choice. There should be a that. And then you have a person who's like, I have immune system failure. Okay. What do you do with that? I'm going to have to understand that both sides have merit to what they say, but it is a hard aspect. Okay. Aries is a sense of self. Aries. Okay. Not Aries in Aries. Aries is a sense of self. It's the I am. And so you don't want to mess with a person's identity, but also sometimes a person's identity and autonomy, of course, conflicts with somebody's well-being. Okay, so this will be a hard aspect with Aries that you want to consider. And later on, they are moving towards the sextile. So this is the last bump in the road, and then they are closing those situationships. Let's talk about the synodic cycle with Mars and Venus for a little. So synodic cycle with Mars and Venus. Oh, we have, okay. Mars, Venus. So Mars is conjuncting Venus in your 7th house on February 22nd. Pardon? Bless me. So February 22nd, Mars conjunct Venus, 6 degrees, Aquarius. It is in a T-square with Jupiter and the moon in your 1st house. And a T-square, we look at the opposite point of kind of like the peak of the T, which is Jupiter, then that would be 10 degrees Scorpio, where the moon is now. And this is ruled by Mars. So we get a little bit of a tension loop. But because this is Venus and Mars, it's very likely to be a sexual tension with the partner. There can be an argument, yes, in a conjunction of Venus and Mars. Mars is hotter, and it kind of burns, it's a hard aspect. But you can be, as this releases, you can be taking some sort of action. So you have a little bit of a tension, but it can also be a spark. And there is a decision to be made, okay? I'm not saying that this cannot be separation, but here it seems more like there is a decision to be made, and this decision can also be a mutual investment, okay? So if there is separation, I already said that, has to do with worldviews, or relationship with sibling, or each other's behavior, but it can also be taking things a step forward, or deciding to. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily elect that for for acting on this, but there is some sort of an action to either sever ties or take a different action, and this action have implications on your mutual assets, on your savings, on your life insurances together. So that is another point that we have. And the next synodic cycle is going to be the grand conjunction of Sun, Mercury, and Saturn in 9 degrees Pisces. This is also when Saturn, I believe, is already out of its shade period. So it's a completely new cycle involving Saturn, Mercury, and Sun in your 8th house. Definitely when the Sun is in your 8th house, you're dealing with what you've been swiping under the rug. Okay, so Saturn can be, Saturn Mercury can definitely be like your taxes, your papers, anything that you need to have like an account of for a long term. And that can be for your career even, or maybe you get a promotion, they want to give you life insurance, and then you have to make sure where you're investing, but they also need you to fix your papers, and you have to find this, something, and it's just like a new request from you when it comes to paperwork, to the digital platform that you work with, when it comes to like your investments. If you're a trader and this is like your job, then some new cycle is beginning that is very practical, but it's 8th house, dealing with those things, of course, brings up your ancestral lineage memories. And this is why it is so triggering, because at those moments, these type of this type of house is basically, like you have to sign a will. Yeah, of course it stirs up stuff. Who are you going to write in your life insurance in case something happened to you? And then who's going to inherit you? Okay, who are we giving the life insurance to, or the allowance to? Who are the benefactors? Okay, of course this is stirring up the pot. It's just those questions. Okay, should we write the house on both of us, or should we write the house on the person? Like what do we do in case we divorce? Okay, it's also those things, and you can simply have to have those documents needed for your career, because Jupiter is in your 10th house. And so you're scheduled to tend to these things and to cope with these triggers. They are affecting your public image, or a career environment, or you simply get a promotion, or you become a parent is also possible, because this Jupiter is also ruling your 5th house. And so you might have to change like your will or life insurance, because you are becoming a parent. And 8th house is also birthing. So you say, oh, Saturn is in the 8th. Saturn is both incarnation of something. It's not just death, it's also birthing. Okay. Saturn through your 8th can literally mean you're giving birth. Okay. If it is in delay or you're old, then this might mean that this is karma for you to finally do that. So I don't want you to get like all weird, like, oh, somebody's going to be born dead. No, not necessarily, not at all. And depending on your chart, you might be wanting to tend it through Jupiter or Venus, because Jupiter is in Venus sign. So this is that grand synodic cycle. Now we have, I'm going to skip like the big aspects, because today I don't have all that much time, but I did give you the Aries extra, which I didn't give in previous horoscopes, the lunations. So 5th of February, we have the first lunation, and this is a new moon again in your 7th house. 10th of February. Why did I say 5th? 10th of February. So new moon, 20 degrees Aquarius in your 7th house. This new moon directly involves you, because the sun is the ruler of your ascendant, and your partner, because it's in your partner's house. And the 12th house, so new moons for you or full moons, there's like, oh, the 12th is coming to conjunct the first. The square to Uranus, this releasing from a square to Uranus in your 10th house, means that a new beginning regarding either, it can be a new business partnership that is formed to rebel something. Okay, you form a new business partnership to rebel your boss or to undermine your boss. Oh, you have to be cautious not to undermine yourself because the moon is ruling your 12th house. And Venus, okay, the ruler of Uranus, is trining, separating from a trine to Uranus from your 6th house. And so you have a brand new beginning when it comes to your career and relationship. This is why I suspect this is more like a business partnership. You pair up with someone. And there is something unusual or kind of like a revolt. And it can also be kind of like revolting your boss. So let's say your boss is telling you, it's been annoying lately, then you and your partner who may be working together decide you're going to pair up and do something creative different. And you may have the mutual means to do that. This is a closing square. So yes, you begin something new, but it is a closing square with Uranus. So this is a response to a synodic cycle of the sun and moon with Uranus. And the type of things that can happen here is towards breaking free from something or towards liberating your public image. Whether you will continue or discontinue what you begin right now, it assists you in a bit of a closure that you have in front of whatever is unnerving your public image or you as a boss, your relationship with your elders, and so on and so forth. If it is a partner, a marital partner, or romantic partner, it's very likely that what you do together is kind of affecting your public image or your career and your drive, and now you are finishing a cycle to do maybe with an old job or an old boss, and you both kind of rebel in this way. Okay. It can also be that you've done rebelling and there is separation at the beginning of separation. Last lunation is February 25, and this is a new moon in Virgo. Full moon in Virgo. And so full moon in Virgo, February 24. I get here. And full moon in Virgo, 5 degrees Virgo, sun in 5 degrees Pisces. So we're going from the 6 degree Aquarius and Leo to basically your 2nd house and your 8th house, full moon. Jupiter is mitigating the tension of what is revealed. Something is likely to be revealed about you, and it's more like something that you didn't want to deal with right now. Okay, you have this, you didn't want to deal with right now. Mercury is also in the 8th house, your 2nd. So you might need to go over your expenses list. And with the moon here, you might be spending something to do with your sex life. And that was not exposed, okay? But Jupiter is actually in your 10th here and mitigating this, but squaring Mars and Venus. So there is some sort of a compassion coming that is supportive of your status. Like, I don't know what it is. But definitely something is revealed in your life that is way too intimate, and it also touches on something, a place that is a bit public because of this Jupiter. So, or you might be at work when that is revealed, and somehow this alleviates a little bit of the tension. Okay, like you focus on work, and this alleviates a little bit of the tension, but it's not work. Sixth house is public. It's public. It can be embarrassing expenses that you have, or if you have like addictive pattern that affects something, or it can simply be like you're spending money on your mental health, okay, because 12th house is mental health. So maybe making an investment on your mental health, kind of like, our significant other sees that, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you were dealing with so and so. Like, yeah, this helps me with my work. It's how I get my energy and so on. You might be taking like amphetamines or something like that. So it's kind of like, and it can be a medication because Pisces is ruling a medication and so on. But it can also be an investment that you are, an embarrassing investment that you are in, but that is for your career or something. But all in all, it shouldn't be too much of a grand moment, okay? It is it's an embarrassing moon. It's a tension moon. It's something is revealed that you're kind of like, but what is going on here? Or your partner is like, but what is going on here? Or you both are like, but what is going on here? But it's revealed. Now you can let it go. Okay. Will this be a make or breakup of your relation? I don't know. If it is, then so it should be, because Venus and Mars are conjuncting, and Venus is releasing from Mars in your 7th. Okay. So take this into account. I don't want like to be scared or something like that, because it can mean the opposite as well. But there's something you're finding out, something quite embarrassing, has to do with expenses or what you're invested in, and letting go. Okay. So hopefully it's not like cheating or something worse. But that's just that. And this is the month for you. It's a bit shorter because I didn't go through all of the aspects. It's still an hour. So I might do a separate one on the like financial aspects where I get to the Uranus square and so on. We basically have the Uranus square and the Mercury square Uranus. It's Uranus square Sun. So we talked about the square between your 7th and your 10th that is being activated. This is also activated by Uranus. So yes, I hope this helps.